Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have Delanda McNair on my channel today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. I hope you are.
Yes, yes. Now tell us about yourself.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Okay, about me. I am single, never been married, no children. I am currently a full-time caregiver to my 78-year-old mother. She had a stroke one weekend when she came to visit us, and she has been here with me ever since that particular weekend. I think it was like in 2012. April 2012 is when it happened. Basically, most of my time is wrapped into my mother. Here lately. I'm taking an online class right now to learn how to expand me, get to know me better. And my mother also, when my mother came to live with me, she came with a, what kind of dog is that? A Pomeranian? Yeah, she came with a little Pomeranian, so I get to be her caregiver too. And so, and I'm glad I'm saying this, because if you hear her bark, it's her, my mom's dog. Because before then, I didn't have a dog because I just don't think my setup here in the townhome is fair for a doggy. They need a backyard when they can go out when they want to, how they want to. And plus, I do not like the idea of taking a bag and going behind them, because our county has a pooper scooper law, and who wants to do that? Yeah, no. But I get to now with my mother's doggy.
Okay, tell us about your books.
Okay, about my books. Well, my books, my writings are fiction. It's an inspiration fiction writing, and mostly they are gifts from God. And I say that because the writings basically is initiated. The beginning of book one came from a conversation that I had with one of my younger sisters, and after that conversation that night, I had a dream. And in that dream, it was like an expansion. It was like an expansion. It was like, well, what about this? And can you imagine if this? And it was just, oh my gosh. It was like somebody just opened up the top of my head and just throwing all these different ideas and thoughts. And so initially I thought nothing about it. I was like, okay. So it's like I kept having that same dream repeatedly. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I called my sister back. I was like, remember that conversation that we had a couple of days ago? Like, I'm having this dream. I said, and in this dream, this is what's happening. And then she was like, oh, wow. And that was it. So we talked about it, and that was it. So the next night, once I was talking about it, it's like God was pushing pause, like, okay, this next scene. So it's like I was talking about it, and then I was getting more information. I kept calling her, I'm like, oh my God, remember that dream? This is what happened last night. And so finally she was like, you need to just write a book. Why don't you write a book? And I was like, girl, whatever. What am I going to do? How am I going to do that? Because at the time, I was living in Miami, Florida, and I was a flight attendant. So it's like, I'm seeing the world right about now. Who has time for writing? And I would be on my plane, like writing on napkins pulling napkins out of my pockets, because it's like, it was so visual. And I'm like, okay, if I didn't, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it, I'm on my plane. So I'm like, okay, let me just write this down so it'll be gone. So in my mind, but that's when I learned that I was more creative than I realized I was. And my creative side is like, it's like a 3-part being. It's like I'm seeing it, and then I had to talk about it, and I had to write it out. And that was my release process. So it's like I was seeing it in my dreams, I was talking about it to my sister, and then I was writing it out in my mind to free myself of it. And each and every time I did that, again, here's the next scene, here's the next scene, here's the next scene. And I went through that process. So with the first book, that's how that happened. It was, I said, God downloaded it, basically. And then when I was going through the process of compiling all the notes from the first book, because I had, like I said, whatever I could write on, because it was a lot of times I was on a plane, in the airport, at a hotel. So whatever I could write on, it created all these crazy notes. And when I finally moved to North Carolina, I left flight attendant. I did it for only 2 years. And when I finally moved back to North Carolina, moved in and had this box. I'm like, what is all this? And I start reading through it. And I was like, oh, wow. So in the process of me reading through all of it, I was like, you know what, let me just put it in a Word doc. That way I can get rid of all these little knickknacks, paperwork, napkins and things. And when I did that, oh my word, I was like, and it was incomplete. It wasn't even complete, but I was like, this is some good, look, I'm looking at the ceiling like, this is some good stuff, God. Like if this was a movie, like I would so go see this. And that was it. Like I didn't really think anymore about it because I'm like, okay, I'm good with it. So finally my sister came back. She was like, remember that time? And I was like, yes, talking about the writing. What are you going to do about it? Have you thought about this? And you should do this. And won't you research this? And in the process of me doing that, I'm like, okay, fine. So then I took it seriously. And when I went back through it again, it's like there are aspects of me written in there that I didn't even realize it was at the time when I was dumping it. And when I would like when I had like some test readers, I had like 3 test readers, and they would ask me about different parts of the book. And this one particular scene or layout in the book, someone asked me about, and it dawned on me like, wait a minute. I was writing about my mother's stroke situation before I knew it. Like I said, my mother came to live with me in 2012. Her stroke happened April of 2012. It was the last weekend in April. I wrote that book. That book was published October 2013. So all the writings had been done. And I was writing about that stroke situation, and that it was in that book, I'm trying not to tell too much. Okay, listen. Okay, there's a family, and it's a single family with where the stroke situation happened, but it was only because one of the spouse died some time ago, and the widower just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on my family. I'm just gonna take care of him. And so by the time he was getting ready to make it, the child was getting ready to transition in life, that's when the stroke showed up. And I had no clue that I was creating a form of therapy for myself, because I would get to live that out, getting the opportunity to take care of my mother. And so with the second book, it was, the first book is a cliffhanger. So the second book, it is, it answers the questions from book 1. And then of course it opens up, it expands the family. It expands you the opportunity to get to know the family better and the extended family members. So with the first 3 titles, I know for sure they are going to intertwine. The 4th title, again, since God gives me like these writings, like I promise you, I don't go research anything. I don't go research a storyline. Now, if there's something that I'm given, I'm like, okay, well, how does that make sense? Or how does that work? Yes, I go to see so I can have clarity.
Yes.
But as far as like right now, I have 10 titles, and I'm so behind, because like he gave me these titles back in like 1995. And had I moved when God gave them to me, I would have had a book that dropped every year. But I didn't get it. I didn't know. And so I'm playing catch up. And so I have right now book 3 and book 4, I have about 50 pages for both. But when my mom came to live with me and me working full time, like I slowed down a lot as it relates to focusing on writing and focusing on trying to market the book and focusing on trying to get the book published and focus on I'm still learning how to better balance all of that.
Okay, show us your book covers and talk about one of them.
Okay, so this is the first book. This is Father, Then the Eyes Can See. It's a book about redemption, forgiveness, and love, the love of man, the love of God. And someone asked me the part where it says, why didn't you put God first? Like, it's a book about love, the love of man, the love of God. Well, because sometimes I'll say me. There have been so many times throughout the course of my life that I didn't always put God first. I didn't necessarily go to God and focus on my relationship or my get to know ship with God and what he wants for my life and how to recognize the best things and the best atmosphere environment for my life and how to create that. I didn't. that's why I put it there, because even though I didn't necessarily start or lead with him, trust without a shadow of a doubt, I've had plenty of opportunities that gave me the opportunity to, at some point throughout that aspect or that travel or that particular journey, to go seek him because I needed help and direction. And he was the only one who had what I need. So that's why that is there. And the title itself, for Father Than Your Eyes Can See, it was encouraged by or inspired by, there is a scripture in the Bible that talks about seeking ye first the kingdom of God. Mm-hmm. And that is the inspiration for this title, because again, tying it to the little catch sentence is, a lot of times I did not seek God first. So it's saying Father, like Heavenly Father, mm-hmm. Then you guys can see, because when you plug into him, your vision is a lot clearer than you thought it was when you thought you had it on your own. Like, I got this, but no, I got this. This is simple. And then you realize, you know what? It's not as simple as I thought it was, or I do not have this. And again, to me, God has been my best resource, because I find myself now like, okay, God, I need you to show me this. Or, okay, God, how am I supposed to do this? Or, God, I know I'm wrong, but I'm being honest with you. I'm really thinking this right about now, and I know this is not right. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it helps me. So that's like most of the storyline with Father Than the Eyes Can See, because what it does is, when it gets to the redemption, the part about the redemption, forgiveness, and love, because at some point in time, you're going to find, you're going to find yourself on either on both sides of that with the opportunity where you need to forgive someone, mm-hmm. or the opportunity where you need to be forgiven and you need redemption, because you realize that was wrong. What was I thinking? Oh, I wasn't thinking. But your actions, with you not completely thinking it out, cannot be taken back now. Or your words, which you're not completely thinking out before you spoke it, you can't take them back. They've already landed on somebody's ears. They've already left them feeling a certain kind of way, or the action has already made whatever disruption, and you cannot unfold that. So you need to go ask for forgiveness, whether you do it right then and within a year, or within a month of it happening, or if it take you 10 years, or when you need to forgive someone, whether it's right then in that moment, or you have to think about it overnight, or again, if it's 10 years later and you still wonder why you can't get past a certain point in your life, because you need to extend that forgiveness. So with Father Than the Eyes Can See, it takes a very extreme situation, and when you start reading about this one particular character, it's very easy for you to not like her. She makes it very easy for you to want some kind of reprimand to take place, mm-hmm. as it relates to her action and her choice. However, by the time you get through the entire storyline, it's like it helps you have an opportunity to not completely understand her why, but to get her why, and to get it enough to be like, okay, I have compassion for her now. Because sometimes when someone does an obvious to you that you know, like, okay, why would you ever do that? When you hear the story and what was going on there in their mind, that opened up a pathway to allow them to take the steps, to speak the words, to get them to that place, you're like, oh, like, but how can you think or feel that? But I could see how that can happen if that's where their mind was, if that's what they were dealing with, if that's what had happened to them in the past. And a lot of times we don't necessarily stop to think about what the hardship could have possibly been that opened the door to usher that person to that place that you like, okay, really? Did they just say, can you believe that? Yeah, it can happen.
Okay. Now, what's your second book?
So the second book is You Taught Me. And again, with this book, it's the cliffhanger. So it's the follow-up to Father Than the Eyes Can See. And with You Taught Me, it's a 3-letter title, but it's so loaded, because I know for me, like, okay, so again, there are so many opportunities, whether I seize it or not, or whether I get it right then or get it later, when I have okay, God, thank you. Or sometimes when God showed me stuff, I'll be walking around the house like, Lord, thank you. You're so smart. Because I would have never thought, to do this. Like, so, and like, sometimes, like I said, like, here's the thing, like, and I do this because I live by myself. Well, until my mom came in 2012, I lived alone, and it was easy for me to be selfish with my me, and like to just close out people. And I was horrible at that. But so with me spending so much time alone, I had gotten in the habit of, if to learn to be thankful to God, because he is ever present. Because you know how sometimes somebody hand you a glass of water, but you so used to doing things solo that you just take it and don't say thank you. So I had gotten in the habit of like, if I belch, excuse me, Lord. So it's like, so like so if somebody, well, you like, where are my glasses? You like, then you leave them on the table, and it's like, oh yeah, thank you. So he was like my partner. Like, okay, so I'd be like, thank you, God. Like, where's my, oh Lord, thank you for allowing me to see that. So to help me be appreciative, not of just the little things that he does for me, but the little things when someone comes around me that they do for me. Because in the beginning I wasn't. And so with you taught me, it's just, oh my word, it's just the simple things that he has been so gracious to show me and teach me then and continually. So it's a combination of like you getting the opportunity to learn your life lessons directly from God, as well as learn them with your everyday surroundings, but get it and to see it. And so with you taught me, the storyline extends on into a family where one of the family members has dealt with something and gone through something, and the extended family feels that, okay, it's been X amount of years. Why isn't this person past this? Like, it's time for it, like they need to live life until they are gone. Like they act like they have died. But it was their process. That individual was still in the midst of their process. And then with the other, there's a character that meets this individual by, like, it's like a throw together meeting. Because it was someone that saw the young man, and then someone that knew the young lady, and then it was like, hey, I think they should meet. But she did it in a way to not make her like a matchmaker like thing. She set it up, and then she's like, I need your help on this. Oh, like, I need your help on this. So the two ended up being in the space, and they met, and they decided to, okay, we grew together. Okay, well, then we could work on the next project together. It's like, I like you, you like me. So that's how it happened. And with that, it gave with you taught me the stroke situation. The caregiver side of it plays out in this book, because in Father, then the eyes can see, it was just someone had a stroke and how it changed both their lives. But in You Taught Me, the caregiver side comes out in this, and the young lady that's being the caregiver, consciously or unconsciously, basically between work, church, and caregiver, that became her life, and she forgot about her. Like, she lost her I and her mind and her me in her world in being a caregiver. And that gave it, so she is the one who meets this young man who has pretty much put his life on pause for the past 3 years because something that had happened in his life. But he didn't even realize he had pushed pause until he met the young lady. So it's almost like an awakening for both, as they both are being taught that, oh, through this whole process, I was being taught something, but they did not get it until their conversation between the two of them became alive, and their relationship began, I say get to know shit, began to unfold. And then it's like, okay, I realize I've been missing some aspects of life, or I realize I didn't completely deal with that over here. And so now they want to, now they are open to.
Okay. Now, what is your genre again, and what draws you to this genre?
It is fiction. It's inspirational fiction, and again, because like I pray and I believe in God, so there is elements of that in the book. Um, so that's why I says fiction inspiration, because it's only a residue of truality in these books. Like for instance, in Farther Than the Eyes Can See, there is a situation that talks about a pregnancy, and my younger sister had a placenta eruption during her pregnancy because she was 3 months pregnant and didn't realize it. So during that 3 months, she was still going hardcore, working up and down stairs, carrying boxes like she wasn't pregnant. She didn't know it. Mm-hmm. And so when Alana decided to come, she had the placenta eruption. And the thing was, my sister didn't get it. Like, she had been losing blood for a short period of time before her 12-year-old at the time actually called 911, because she was passing bloods, but it was a small amount. Mm-hmm. So she didn't get like, wait a minute, this is serious. And to the last time, she was like, okay, wait a minute. And her 12-year-old was like, Mom, you shouldn't be bleeding like that. Like, we need. She was like, call your mom. Her mom was like, call your daddy. And then her daughter was like, no, I need to call 911. So that pregnancy thing with one of the characters, that stemmed from my sister's situation. Again, that stroke situation stemmed from me. I just did not realize it stemmed from me. Mm-hmm. And you taught me the caregiver situation that stems from me, but not completely, because my life is not that fabulous as hers were.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's why, because it really is a read for everybody, whether you follow Christianity or not, because it's about life lessons and what you do with them, because we're all going to be at that intersection where life happens. Someone makes a mistake. You need to extend or receive forgiveness. How are you going to handle it?
What is Truly His Pen?
Truly His Pen is my LLC, and the name of that became because truly I am His pen. Like, he dumps. God's been dumping these writings, these ideas into me, giving them to me. And basically, I just go to the computer and dump, or I go to my pad and grab my pen and I dump. So that's the LLC. And I'm learning more and more about publishing. At some point, it may actually be a publishing company. Right now, it's the LLC that I'm doing everything under.
Okay. How do you market your books?
That is something that I am currently learning about. I am not actively marketing the book, and I know marketing the book, I know that I should be. I am still learning the aspects and the different avenues on how I should do that. Other than Facebook, maybe I have a Facebook author page. It's author Delanda McNair. But other than that, I have not truly seriously put together a marketing plan. So I need to learn that. You have any suggestions?
How I do it, I just go on all the social media that I have, and
Gotcha.
Yes. What was your publishing journey like?
Ooh. Okay. So with the first book, let me say this. Okay. So with the first book, it took me some time to get used to the fact of my face and my name being on something that's published for like the masses to see. So initially, the first book, for Farther Than the Eyes Can See, it was going to have a pen name, and it was not going to have my picture, because if it's a pen name, you don't have to have a picture. But I had a conversation with my sister when we were talking about my progress, and she was excited for me, and she was like, "That's so exciting! I can see you now, like an open panel, talking about the book." And I was like, "Nope." that won't be happening. And she was like, what do you mean? You don't know that? She was like, Lena, what? And she called me by my nickname. She was like, once they get like the word like get out about your book, people are gonna be interested because it's a good story. I said, yeah, but it will not have my name and it will not have my picture. It's gonna have this name. And I told her my pen name. And then she was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? She was like, oh, she said, you know what? She said, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm just going to say this. How dare you put some fictitious name on a story that God directly gave to you? Really? I'm like, I said, really? Do you really have to put God in this? Like, it has nothing to do with God. I mean, I said it does, but it doesn't. Like, really, like, the story is the story, whether my name on it or not. The story is the story, whether or not it has my picture or not. Like, it's going to read the same. And then she was just like, wow, Delanda, wow. So I was like, you remember how I told you I'm sitting talking to God? So later on that week, I'm like, God, really? Like, the story is going to read the same, God. It's going to give the same message to whoever read it, whether it has my name, whether it has my picture. Do I really have to put my name on it, God? Do I really have to put my picture on it? And I got silenced. And not only did I get silenced, I couldn't even move forward. Like when I decided on the publishing company, they were asking me for, okay, how should the name appear in the book? And I couldn't even like give them the name. I was like, I'll get it to you. Give me a minute. So finally I was like, okay, fine. I sent them my name and I found this really small picture and I sent the picture, and they wanted a bigger picture because they wanted to expand the picture. But no, I purposely sent that little picture that you could not expand it because you would lose pixels. And they kept asking me, Delanda, we can't expand the picture. And I was like, let me see what I can do. Whatever. I won't look for no picture. I'm sorry, God. I lied to them. I was not trying to see what I could do. And finally, they was like, okay, they left me alone about the picture. And that's why Father didn't ask you. See, it's like a little teeny tiny picture up there. And because that was all me. I did not give them the picture with better quality so they could expand it. However, again, so that was my challenge with the first book, because I was like, okay, fine, just let me write it. I'll write it, but I'm not putting my name on it, and I'm not putting my picture on it. Then when I got the reality, chick, yes you are. I was like, really? So once I got over that, again, I wasn't like this, me doing this right now. No, And it is so crazy because, like, as a flight attendant, I was the one who got I was the one who got the opportunity to deliver the PAs. So I'm standing before people. I'm talking to people. So it's not that I've never done it before, but I was doing it for somebody else. Like, somebody else trusted me to be the face of their company. Okay, learn the lines. Okay, I can learn that. Okay, yeah, okay, I can do that. Fine, I'm going to deliver. But when it's at the end of the day, it's going to come back to me and come back to my name and come back to my face. Oh, and on top of that, you doing it as a representative of God, man, that's a lie. Because I still make mistakes, man. I do. I'm not perfect. And I would not dare have anybody think that I am. So it's a big thing to be one of his representatives alone, let alone one of his representatives writing in the writing arena. That's huge to me. So I was feeling some kind of way, and I still, even though it had my name in it face, I wasn't going out there seeing how I could market it and push the book, because that meant I had to go out there and market me. And I was not ready for that. And I'm still learning how to best do that now, because I just got a revelation earlier, it was about 2 or 3 months ago. You're the face of your company, chick. Like, look, sometimes I call myself chick. When I talk to myself, like, come on, chick, really? Like, you're the face of your company. Like, you're the face, you're the brand. And what does that look like? And so that's what I am in the process of now, like, learning and figuring out what that looks like, what that sounds like, what that feels like. And so that's where I am now as it relates to creating this brand and molding this brand so it can be polished. When I was able to escape that with the first book, because I was in a learning stage. There are no excuses now, none. So it's like, no, you figure it out, learn it. So that's what I'm in the process of doing. So the process with the first book was challenging for me. The second book, it's like I totally enjoyed every aspect of the journey of this, even with the late nights. And I had late nights with the other books, fine. I didn't mind that. But like with this one, because I published this through truly his pen. So I did everything. I found the editor. I found the cover art. And I was blessed with this to be able to find, like, there's an artist that's a part of my church that I go to, and he is the one I think for this art, the cover that came. That's Eric McRae. This is his creation. So yes, I found the editor. I found the cover art. I went and learned everything I need to learn about get my own ISBN number. Like, it's like I said, like, so I'm still learning all the areas and avenues of that. And I took my time on this one, and I didn't cram so much in one setting. Whereas the first book, I dumped everything that I had. And what I needed my editor to do in the first book was to ask me more questions about the delivery of the book. Because this one hits the ground running. And you know how some people have a chaotic life, like they have soccer mom, and then they have ballet, and then they may have another that's basketball, and you know what I'm saying, then your husband, remember this, and then you work too, and then you try to take care of. That is the atmosphere of the opening of this book. It comes at you hitting the ground running, and then after it introduces all the chaos, then that situation happens, and then you pull back and you go on her journey, and periodically you plug into everybody else's life, because that one decision that one person made, it affects everybody else's life in here. So on top of already all the chaos that they were living through, here she comes with this.
Okay. How do you balance the act of writing with your priorities, such as being a caregiver for your mother?
I'm learning, well, let's see. With the second book, I learned better and better, more and more. What happens is with my mother, I check in with her first thing in the morning. Like currently, I do not work outside the house. Initially, when my mom came to live with me, I did. So it was easier. It's crazy because it was easier for me to fit my mother in that crazy schedule than it is now that I'm home every day and fit in right into my mother's schedule, because I call it her schedule. So initially, before all this happened, I was actually leaving for work. I would leave here about 7 in the morning for work, and then my younger sister was coming over to do the caregiver part while I was at work. So I would check in with my mom, make sure she was cleaned up, had everything she needed, and then go to work. And then my sister would be like on my heels coming in the door. And so I was working from 8:30 to I worked from 8:30 to 5. But what I did is I got to work early and spent that hour working on my book and my writings. So I will write first thing in the morning at work, either in the parking lot or go upstairs to my desk and not log into the system, just with a pen and pad, because I connect better when I write with like a pen and pad. So with the pen and pad, I will write for an hour, 15, 20 minutes, then go upstairs and work. And then on my lunch hour, I will write again, and then come home, plug into my mom, and then try to write at the end of the night. Sometimes I'll be consistent in doing that. Other times I wouldn't. It depends on what unfolded with my mother. With the second book, it was, what I was doing is every Saturday morning, I was getting up, go check in with my mother. And I knew once I checked in with my mother and got her set up and going, I knew I had at least 2 solid hours that she wouldn't need me. So I would check with my mom on Saturday mornings, plug in, get the writing done. And then that's how I was doing it. But then now that I'm home with my mom, I'm still like, my thing is, my alarm goes off at 4:10. And that's to give me time, like, plug in with God, try to get some direction, or just make sure I get some, to just dump my head, because sometimes you go through things like I do not, I'm at home a lot. I mean, with the stuff that's going on, it's just me and my mom. So I just need to make sure that whatever I am dealing with, sometimes I may be dealing with something, it's not energy that I take downstairs to my mother. So I definitely had to go and talk to God. So by 5 o'clock, I go and do like I'm taking this online course now. So from 5 to 6, it's time for me to do the online course. Then I go check in with my mother, and then I give my 2 hours to writing. So that's the schedule now. There are some days that doesn't work like that because it depends on what happens when I go check in with my mom. She may need more. She may have more of a need. So if she have more of a need, my morning could really start with her. And then I look up, it's like 11:30 or 12. I'm like, wait a minute, really? So it's really time to start the day, for real, for real. So it just depends. Like I'm still balancing that out a little bit with the way we're living life now. The fact that I do not get to go outside of the house. For whatever reason, it seemed easier for me to bounce it all in when I actually got to leave the house than it does that I'm here all day.
What are you currently working on right now?
What I am currently working on right now, I am the online course that I am doing is the course that I am, it's a coaching class. That class is called Brand Disruptors. I am doing that. It's like a 6-month class. I think I'll be done. I have like 5 more sessions to do on that. And so with that, I get to do writing homework assignments. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing my writing homework assignments through that. And periodically I'm plugging the 2 books because you asked me earlier about the marketing for the 2 books. So I am doing research on the best way to plug the 2 books. I am learning how to, like you said, go to my platforms and say, hey, the books are here. I just, about a couple of months ago, I connected with a voice artist. So I have a voice artist that's going to do that's doing the audio book for Farther Than the Eyes Can See. So I'm so excited about this because it's going to be cool. So the second book, I'm considering reading the second book myself. I don't know. People keep saying, why don't you just read it yourself? Read it yourself. I don't know. We'll see. But I have an artist reading the first book. So I should have that book, I guess, by the mid-August, by the top of October, September, we'll see.
Okay. What do you want readers to take away from your books?
Wow, what do I want readers to take away from the book? It gives, I want them to take the journey for the journey. You know how sometimes you see a book cover and it gives you the opportunity to have a certain expectation? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I want them to truly start off on that first page with an open mind and to let the journey take them on whatever journey that is. Because in my mind, when you do that, even though the story reads the same, depending on where you are at the point in time that you read it, your journey is going to be a little different. Because I've had people come and tell me, for instance, there is, in this particular book, there is a, one of the characters has to write a release letter because so much is going on. And that release letter idea came from me. I had the opportunity where there was a relationship I was in, and I was like, okay, God just gave me some clarity and some revelation about the relationship. And I was like, okay. So I wrote that person a release letter because it helped give me the closure that I needed, as well as to say to them some things that I needed to say to them that for whatever reason just did not come out or deliver like I needed it to in verbal conversation. Mm-hmm. So I wrote that letter, I mailed that letter, and that person called me, and then we had the conversation. So it gives you the opportunity to you may need to release yourself or something, or someone else or something. Yeah. You may need to get over yourself and extend that forgiveness to someone. You may need to extend the forgiveness to you. I learned some time ago that I need to forgive myself of things. Like because there have been times I've disappointed me, but I never told myself, you know what, Delanda, it's okay. Like, you disappointed you when you did XYZ or when you did not do XYZ, but get it right from this point on. Don't park there. Forgive yourself and move on. So yes, I want them to learn how to, if they don't already, to be mindful that self-forgiveness is necessary. Extending forgiveness is necessary. Receiving forgiveness is necessary. You know, sometimes somebody come to you and they clearly point blank say, hey, you know, when I did or when I said I was wrong, I need to apologize to you for that. And we're so quick that, man, don't worry about it, forget about it. It's all right. No, it isn't. It isn't. The fact that that person recognized that they wronged you, allow them to apologize and receive it.
Wow. What is something you want readers to know about you?
That I'm not perfect. That I am not perfect and that I am learning too. And these writings is therapy for me too. Like I said, when I was reading through when I was reading through this, as I was jogging it down and putting my notes, I had a lot of wow moments. Like, wow, God, help me with that. Like, oh my God, Lord, I've done that. And like I said, the forgiveness thing, like, you know what? When this happened and that was disappointing to me, I never really did forgive myself for that. So yes, I'm learning with these stories, or I am expanding with these stories and these writings, just as some of the readers will. I want them to know that for the most part, I am just an everyday person, just like they are. And a lot of, I am learning how to thrive at this life I've been given, like most of them are. Like some people already arrived, they get it. They know their place. They know their reason. They know their why. I'm still learning mine, or I'm still completely connecting with mine.
Okay. What inspires you to write?
Initially, it was obedience. Now it's self-therapy.
Okay. How can readers find you and your books?
My books, okay, so I can be found on Facebook at author, Delanda McNair. On Instagram, I believe it's simply my first and last name, Delanda McNair. There's also a website. It's delandamcnair.com, www.delandamcnair.com. So it's Facebook, the website, and Instagram. That's where they can find me. The books, basically on any of those platforms, on Amazon, or if you Google the book, either the titles, you can just take the ISBN number and call your favorite bookstore, wherever you mostly buy your products, and just have them order the book for you. So if you have your favorite bookstore that you normally work with, or you prefer to work with, call them up, give them the book title and or the ISBN number that you can find on Google or my platforms, and they will surely order the books from get the books in for you. Or again, you can go to those different platforms, or you can order it from my website. You can contact me if you want a autographed copy. You can contact me on Facebook, the author page on Facebook, because that you can inbox me and you can cash at me. So for the autographed copy, you can cash at me at $Delanda McNair, my first and last name, and then let me know that you want the autographed copy, and I will get it to you.
Okay.
So if you cash at me, for your viewers, if they cash at me and say Queenie's viewers, you can get the first. So if you I suggest both books, because again, they are cliffhangers. Mm-hmm. But if you have to choose, you want to get this book first. So if you buy a single book, the purchase price is $16. If you buy two books, if you buy both, you can get two for $26. But in order to do that, when you contact me, you have to put Queenie's viewers, and I'll know that you are a Queenie subscriber, and that's the discount for Queenie.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
Please, please, please be sure to to link up with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. That'll be really great if you like the pages. And if you have any questions for me that I did not answer today, you can either, again, let Queenie know or contact me on Facebook, and I will get you those answers.
Okay. Now, I have a little game I call My Favorites. Would you like to play?
Sure.
Okay. My favorite scripture
is Proverbs. Oh my gosh. I want to say it's 18:16, where it says your gift will make room for you and put you before a powerful men or something like that. Gosh, I don't have my Bible in here, darn it. But yes, it's the scripture, it's Proverbs. I really want to say it's 18:16. I could be wrong. It's either 18:16 or 16:18, where it says your gift will make room for you and put you before, is it powerful men or men of stature or something like that? That's my favorite scripture.
Okay. Do you have a favorite flower?
Lily, the peace lily.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Food.
Oh my gosh. I have two. It's between seafood and Italian.
Your favorite hobby?
Traveling.
All right. And the last one, your favorite author and why?
Oh my word. Okay, so this one is hard. Okay, here's the deal. I have favorite authors at different times. So right now, my favorite author is Miles Monroe. He was, oh my goodness. He had this book called Marriage, Still a Good Idea. And he just breaks down how most people concept and idea of marriage is totally not what it is. And he goes on to explain what it really is, what the idea of marriage, what it really is, the sanctity of marriage, what it really means, the commitment of marriage, how you really are supposed to live it out and do it. He helps you, and he gives you like little things as simple as where it talks about how you get married and you cleave and leave. And he talked about how some people, be it consciously or unconsciously, they don't truly understand in the leaving part. So it's like if you have in-laws that you've already always given a certain amount of money to, you're going to need to talk about that with your spouse. You can't just, you know what I'm saying? They don't get to have an account that but you don't think about it because you always did it. It could be something as simple as vacation time. You know what I'm saying? You want to include your extended family, like your parents. You want to take them on all your vacations. Well, what about our family and our family vacation? Like, it was just small things he suggested you talk about. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that. Something as simple, well, I say it's simple, but it may not be as simple. Something that is like how to reprimand your children. Is your spouse okay with, are they going to spare the rod or are they going to use the rod? Like things like that. Like it's separate bank accounts. How do you feel about it? Should we have joint bank accounts or separate bank accounts? It's just, wow. Like just so many of the everyday dynamics that most people don't think about.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here with you.
You're welcome. Again, this is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
Bye.